Hello, I'm Father Steve Sellers, and welcome to my channel for today's message of hope and inspiration. You know, one of the most important people I've ever known in my life was an elderly woman at a nursing home here in Houston back in the 1990s. Her name was Mrs. Hill. She's been with the Lord a long time, but Mrs. Hill was incredibly inspirational to me because she taught me in a brand new way the key that opens the spiritual life for us. Mrs. Hill was all by herself. She had outlived all her friends and all of her family members except for a young cousin who actually lived in the same neighborhood as the nursing home, but the young cousin never visited Mrs. Hill. She was no longer able to walk. She was in a wheelchair. She was not in great health. She was sick a good bit, but I never heard her complain. In the 5 years that I went to that nursing home to do a prayer and praise service on Monday mornings, I never heard her say an angry word or a sad word. Mrs. Hill was always smiling, and she was always making the rounds of her little wing in the nursing home, and she was telling other people how wonderful they looked that morning, and she was smiling, and she would always compliment the staff. You know, the staffs are often overlooked, but she always said a kind word to the people who cleaned up the rooms. She had a very gentle and a tender spirit. And I asked her one time where that came from in her. And she said it was very simple. She went around every day and she made a choice, and her choice was to be positive, not negative. And the way she did that was she began humming to herself in the mornings as she got up, and I still do this to this day, 25 years later. It's so important. The old spiritual that says, count your many blessings. And the first verse of that wonderful old hymn is, when upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you feel discouraged, thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Mrs. Hill began every day by counting her blessings. And she showed me through her joy every day that gratitude is the key that unlocks the spiritual life for us. We simply are not built to be grateful and hateful at the same time. We have to choose one or the other. Mrs. Hill, God rest her soul, taught me that gratitude is the only way to live. And some people say, well, Father, I don't have anything to be grateful for. I always smile and I take a deep breath. And I thank God for the ability to take a breath. I wiggle my fingers. I thank God for the ability to be able to wiggle my fingers. I look up and see a roof over my head. I thank God for giving me a roof. If I'm able to walk, I thank God for the ability to walk. If I can look outside and see flowers, I thank God for the flowers. There are always things we can give thanks to God for. And you know, when we start each day that way, counting our blessings and naming them one by one, we open up the door to the spiritual life and we live a day. And my prayer for all of us is that we live a day exactly like Mrs. Hill did, counting our blessings and spreading joy everywhere we went. I hope you have a wonderful day today. God bless you.